Chloe? What's up, Aaron? I am sorry for that incident last night. I mean, that I just slept next to you, in your bed. That was my mistake. Obviously, and yeah. Can you forgive me, please? Now she was the one gazing at me as if she had seen a ghost. After a little pause, she replied, "Come on, don't be too hard on yourself. We both were tired after our mega session, you know. Besides, if I had something against it, I could have slept in your bed. These beds are all one and the same." I was a little bit astonished as to how she even argued pro me. She didn't seem to be angry at all, assumed by the way she replied. "So, you're not angry at me? Aaron, I really must say that you look cute when you're asleep." She deliberately avoided my question. Not gonna lie, as she said that, I was totally flattered. Only good that my face was red naturally, so she didn't see me changing my facial color like a chameleon into a deep red tone. As a response, I only brought forth an even shyer "thank you." After a deep breath, I managed to calm down a bit, but one thing still prevented me from finding my peace. "Chloe, can I ask you one last thing?" "Sure," she nodded, a little bit surprised. What exactly happened last night? I feel as if I drank too much and experienced a mental blank, you know? Well, as I said, in fact, we were tired as a result of our matches, and when we agreed on ending them, we intended to sum up our points. For that purpose, you changed sides to use the light from my bed to see better. As she made a break to moisten her throat to continue, I drew up a first summary. Especially my deed to go into the light like a small fly impressed me. I would love to know what exactly made me do it. Did I have the intention to get closer, or were there no further complex ones at all? Anyway, just funny to hear stories about myself or things I supposedly did. It felt like a first, third-person experience. However, part 2 with all unmentioned answers followed soon, so I sharpened my ears once more to listen. Then you summed up the first couple of games and, yeah, what happened then? I asked, a little bit aroused. While I was drinking something, I heard a quiet snoring sound from your direction and, you know. I frowned slightly as she said that. On one side, it was embarrassing, but on the other, funny somehow. The way she narrated that made me smile about it. So that means I just fell asleep, just like that. And what did you do? Did the Sandman catch you also afterwards? When I joked about that, I noticed that she made herself smaller in her appearance and replied with a very shy tone. Kind of. I mean, I collected the cards, laid them on my bedside table, and hit the lights to sleep. Basically, nothing spectacular happened afterwards. My desire of interrogation to 95% satisfied, I brought up one last question. The question that made her overtake my red look. Did you cover me with the blanket? Because it is the last thing I don't remember. After expressing myself with a little paradox, she needed some time to find a response. But that delay could also have been due to the way how to say and not what to say. She smiled coyly and replied with one word. Yes. Since that brought an interruption into our one-sided question-answer game, I continued with a similarly shy response. Then thank you very much. After we both looked kind of abashed to the ground separating us, another important matter came into my mind. But unlike before, I hesitated severely and did it only because of the urgency I saw in it. Hey Chloe, I directed her attention onto me. Shouldn't we tell Jessica about it? Only that she doesn't have a wrong image. According to her extroversion, she certainly thinks, well. After I lost my word, or rather, the way how to put it to paper, the door came to my rescue, and it was pushed open with potency from the other side. Speaking of the devil, I whispered, as I saw that it was our visitor number 1. Here I am again, ladies and gentlemen, expelled any danger. To be honest, it was only an elderly man accidentally touching the button while standing up. You don't believe how often something like that occurs. At least twice a day. We both laughed about that, witnessing her taking a seat to get rid of some stress. Welcome back, Chloe smirked, and not a minute too late. Too late for what? Jessica replied intrigued, while I only took the role of a bystander. Jessie, we should set something right about everything. Alright. Shortly after, they turned themselves towards me and started with their explanation. So we, Chloe and me, are what you term best friends. We know each other for much longer, but our bond is only insignificantly stronger than the one between Chloe and you. And that is what intrigues me, honestly. We met each other at kindergarten, and destiny brought us together when she came here. But what brought you together to this room then? And what creates such a bond between people that is responsible for such an understanding between them? I'm just astonished, Aaron. While she put on the brakes a bit, Chloe and I looked at each other, nodding. Silently, I drew a conclusion that it made absolute sense. Before I even wondered as to why they seemed to be so intimate with each other. But now the answer came to me, but sadly not regarding my current question. And that's basically what we have to do with one another. Further, it is self-explaining that if you are a friend of Chloe, then you're also a friend of mine. And with that said, I invite you to call me Jessie. Welcome to the club of not suffering. Remembering the beginning of my story here and the occurrence recently, I smiled at her. Can I also say Dr. Nurse? That's really stuck to your mind, isn't it? One day for sure. But for now I only accept Jessica, or Jessie. Or alternatively, Catwoman. I looked at her in wonder and confusion equally. Catwoman? They both bursted out in laughter when they saw me reacting the way I did. Look, that was a sample of the humor we share, and spontaneously I'd say that you have a fairly comfortable seat next to us. I grinned once more, now a little bit more excessively, and used the clarifying momentum of the conversation to bring up my question, which then wanted to get out of me at any cost. So, Jessie, regarding last night, I became more serious. Don't think that something happened that didn't happen. Wait, I was just tired. I can't escape that loop, can I? I kind of gave up to justify myself, but at least I revealed indirectly what was weighing me down. So Jessica stood up and lowered her voice to a deeper, less feminine tone. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up to initiate this lawsuit. On one side, we have the victim, Chloe, and on the other side, we have the perpetrator, Aaron. Now please sit down. Today we need to examine the truth behind the accusation according to which Aaron offended Chloe while sleeping, while he slept. Because that claims the plaintiff, which is Aaron's mind. So first of all, I call upon Chloe to be the first witness. Totally bewildered, I saw her approaching Chloe, and with a pen she dragged out of her pocket, she swore Chloe in. Chloe, you swear to speak the truth and nothing but the truth. I do, Your Honor. She replied, totally embarked on the roleplay train. Do you know the offender, Aaron? I'd say yes. So you had contact with him last night when it happened? Yes, I did. Alright, we're getting closer. Did you feel offended by him? Chloe deliberately remained silent for a couple of seconds before she continued. Not at all, Judge Dr. Nurse. I could see that Jessica almost lost the consciousness of her role when she heard that, but subversively kept on acting. So your hesitation is an indicator of shush money. I can draw the conclusion clear as day. Then she approached me while still being stuck to her judge personality. Aaron, do you admit that you paid money to the victim to hide your delinquency? No, I responded a little bit intimidated. Fair enough. Then I will swear you in as well. Before she dragged her pen out once more, I tried to interfere by bringing the show to an end. Look, Jessica, I just want you to understand what my intentions were. Or rather, what they were not. So, not like that. I want you to understand that you may only speak when I ask you to. After all, I'm the judge, and it's about your prosecution. Did I express myself clearly? I brought up a little smile of irony, while Chloe on the other side of the room was highly amused. Understood, Your Honor. Excuse me. I gave in, only that Judge Jessica could continue with her performance. Quite remarkable that someone can be that absorbed in acting activities, I had to acknowledge, when Jessica took a deep breath to reproduce the second page of her script or something like that. So you still refuse to confess, am I right? Remaining resilient, I nodded with the intention to wait and see what happened next. At the beginning I was kind of annoyed that she didn't take my matter seriously enough, but at that point, after being 30 minutes into the show, I was way too amazed to keep my grudge any longer. It was kind of cute of her, I had to admit, since she presented herself in such a personal way, from which many would just shrink back. This extroverted personality, which was very awkward right away from the beginning, not gonna lie, turned out to be one of the most amazing people in here, and also in wide areas of my life until then. She was someone that took things not that seriously, and this trait of theirs affected me somehow, attracted me. I couldn't describe it any further, at least not for the moment. But what I could describe was one lesson I learned throughout my hospital residence, namely to think less. And this found application as I only indulged in the moment and let her proceed. She then made her way back to Chloe and asked if she had further proof of my presence, knowing that she wouldn't receive anything from my side. And just like in a real lawsuit, if you want information, get it from those who want to speak. And her plan was kind of a success when she extracted from Chloe that we played Uno. The cards were still laying on the bedside table, so I couldn't say anything against that. And that was a fact of predilection for Jessica, who concluded instantly, "Sure." And Aaron lost, so he has a water-clear motive. Fueled with new ideas, she came right at me to confront me. What do you offer in your defense now? In a stroke of genius, I recalled the scorecard that proved her wrong, since I had won and therefore no motive at all. Without hesitation, I pulled out the little piece of paper and handed it to her. There you have it, I'm innocent. Even Chloe's handwriting is on it, so it's not a counterfeit, I remarked with a cheeky blink into Chloe's direction. Jessica didn't expect that at all, as I could tell from her speech, which was totally gone. But according to the saying, you can't push a genius into a corner, she weaseled herself out by pretending to receive a phone call. Ladies and gentlemen, the lawsuit is herewith interrupted. We will continue with the judgment soon. Then she played a little bit on her phone, and a couple of minutes later she turned around and sighed silently. How am I supposed to work for the rest of my shift? I'm already exhausted, and not even into it for that long. I just had to laugh and comment, both mentally. Nurse, not judge. Although she can speak, she is still employed here. And slowly getting aware of that fact, Jessica continued with the conclusion, and referring to that, it seemed as if she planned on doing that from the beginning. She only needed some sort of gap fillers to lead her to that point. So in the name of law and justice, I have the following advice, she brought forth, then a little bit calmer. Aaron, or rather Aaron's mind. Before you blame Aaron for supposedly doing something wrong, consider the circumstance, whether he has harmed someone or not. Because after all, the victim seems to be quite happy about that incident. For that, I don't need a testimony. As long as it serves both of you and you don't harm third parties, do what you like, even if it seems absurd or crazy. After all, sometimes the craziest people are the happiest ones. And with that, she terminated her monologue. I was still impressed by the amount of wisdom she wrapped inside her summary, and also by the way she led up to that. And first and foremost, all questions of mine were settled. Now I have to leave and devote myself to other cases. She smiled at us as she left. I called after her, "Thank you, Judge, Dr. Nurse." I saw her pausing for a second, then continuing. But unlike that, Chloe showed a more generous reaction, while she laughed loudly. But away from the jokes and the witticisms, I had the urge to direct some honest words towards her. "Chloe, I really must admit that you and Jessica are truly amazing. I never thought to have so much fun with so little effort, and that I meet people who just stick to my heart beyond measurement." Then my words ran out, and we looked at each other in silence. It was no real silence, as we understood each other's thoughts without any gaps. And both showed that with an even wider smile. It was one of those moments that could continue forever, but it was also one which was promptly interrupted by randomness. And this time it was unpleasant like never before, as Jessica returned, but only at first glance. It was Jessica's hollow, but who was inside? I couldn't tell.